Alright, back to what I was saying in part 1. So, yeah, devil fruits are just used cheaply, and most of the characters the Straw Hats have fought are devil fruit users. If they were to go and get a devil fruit and bring Ace back to life, they would be officially be as cheap as the Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball Z. I'm sorry if I'm pissing people off by saying this, but that's just how I see it. I mean, sure, it would make sense because, Whitebeard's crew seems to be there seems to be, like a side thing, little foreshadowing thing or whatever, that the Whitebeard pirate crew are good at getting devil fruits. I mean, heck, that's the whole reason Blackbeard joined the Whitebeard pirate crew, because he was trying to find a particular devil fruit. And hence brought on the whole thing of him killing that crew member and Ace going after him in the first place. I just remembered just now the whole thing, aside from Luffy blaming himself for, Ace dying there because, Ace protected him from Aka Inu's attack and everything, and the whole thing at Chamboyaga Pego. He probably might also blame himself for what happened to Ace also because of the fact that, he knew what was going on with Ace he found out back at Thriller Bark, but he thought, no, Ace would probably get mad at me since we both have our own adventures to do. I mean, I wouldn't be, somewhat surprised if he thought to himself, I should have gone there when I found out in the first place, and, stuff like that. But this would also be an interesting thing to see the crew help Luffy for once also, I mean, Luffy has always helped his crew out when it comes to helping them. We never saw them help Luffy because he was the first one, of the entire crew. He didn't have some, dramatic backstory that we ever heard about at the time or anything. He wasn't, holed up by the Marines like Zoro. He wasn't under a debt like Nami with Arlong. He didn't get caught in this situation with Koro like Usopp, or the whole thing with Don Krieg with Sanji, and etc, etc, etc. Luffy helped them a lot of ways, emotionally and with their problems and things like that. It would be pretty interesting to see, for once, Luffy be helped by his crew in this way. And also it'd be kind of cute and sweet if they were to, make one of those little Japanese incest shrine things on the ship, especially for Ace. That would be just adorably cute. I honestly hope that happens. Aside from this being character development for Luffy and of course moving the story along, I also think that this might be development time for also Garp as well. Because, he just told Sengoku, who was trying to keep him away from Aka Inu at the time, while Luffy's, emotionally and mentally breaking down at the time, he told Sengoku, you better keep me down here or I'm gonna rip Aka Inu to shreds. He basically threatened an admiral with bodily harm right there, and Garp's only a vice admiral. I'm starting to wonder if this might be development in Garp's case, in this case being him realizing that the Marines aren't all that justicey as he originally thought. I have a feeling he's not completely aware of how the government, is, even if he is a vice admiral, because, he just seems very different from his other Marines in a completely different way, And also, I think that Garp might have expected Luffy to save Ace. I just think that he thought, Luffy's probably gonna hear about this and go head over here and save him himself. And a lot of people think that Garp let Luffy punch him off of that platform. I think that Garp was expecting Luffy to save Ace, and the whole thing just was an absolute, you know, tragic disaster. And he's seen at the end of the chapter crying. I think he's gonna start thinking the Marines aren't, justice. They claim to be all about justice, but this doesn't seem to be true justice. Because the only reason they wanted Ace dead, aside from being a pirate, is he was Goldie Roger's son. They wanted that line ended. They considered Ace a threat purely based on his parentage. Aside from being a pirate and being part of Whitebeard. He would have been killed as a kid purely because he was Goldie Roger's son. His mother could have been killed because she was Goldie Roger's lover. Heck, they sent the Marines after her. That's why she kept herself pregnant with Ace for so long and ended up dying due to the stress of it. And Ace's mother is also the very first female D named in One Piece also. I'm thinking that eventually at some point he's gonna branch off from the Marines entirely and try to develop his own, thing that actually does qualify for true justice. Maybe start realizing not all pirates are assholes and, trying to get rid of the corrupt government in order to put in place a more, proper government that actually does stand for justice. I could see Garp doing that, possibly. And maybe we could see, possibly some of the rift between him and Luffy get fixed, because I sense some very, stressed things between those two somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's me. This further made me think about the whole Will of D thing. This made me actually... I never had too much of a theory on that back then, but this has made me really think about it now. Because of the whole thing, thinking about what might happen with Garp. What if the Will of D was actually the very first pirate crew, and they stood for going on adventures and things like that, and eventually things got corrupted, and they had a whole bunch of pirate crews, doing the wrong thing, bad pirate crews going around pillaging, causing problems, things like that. And some people who didn't like this original crew, who were going around having fun and stuff like that, used this as a way to, say, all pirates are like this. All of them are like this. We have to get rid of them now. And it's like, maybe the Will of D is actually the will of the original pirate crew. What a pirate crew is supposed to be. And the people who were from that original crew carry on the name of D in the name of the original crew. And the people who carry on the D now are their ancestors, maybe. But, not only that, maybe the whole blank history also relates to that too. Like how the government first came into place and, destroyed that original crew. And the blank history relates to that and the whole truth about pirates and everything. And that the government is, is at, fault for a lot of crap. I mean, they hate pirates, it's obvious. I mean, they put a bounty on Nico Robin's head purely because she could read the blank, history, the language on those polyglyphs. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. And it's obvious they want to hide something, and it's probably nothing good. And considering One Piece is about piracy, I think it has something to do with that. Or probably something else. I don't know. I'm just making theories here based on all, I have been having so many different things go through my mind with this chapter. It's crazy.